Hi, I'm James Hernandez, Craft Brand Manager for Advanced Beverage in Bakersfield, California. Today we're at Sandrini's, downtown Bakersfield, and we are talking about Goose Island Bourbon County Stout. One of the cool things about Goose Island, they've been around since 1988 from a famous class of breweries known as the Class of 88, with some likes of Rogue, Deschutes, Brooklyn Brewery, and Goose Island. So this is really the most iconic beer that Goose Island has to offer. Bourbon County is recognized as the first bourbon barrel-aged stout that's really ever been out. So for Goose Island's 1000th batch of beer, Greg Hall wanted to do something really innovative, and he actually attended a bourbon, cigar, and beer pairing dinner and was sat next to Booker Knoll, a master distiller from Jim Beam. So they struck up a conversation and started talking about innovation, and what came into play was he asked, what do you think about putting a Russian Imperial Stout, which is a huge high alcohol stout, into bourbon barrels. So they talked the idea over, Booker sent over some barrels from Jim Beam, and the rest is history. So they started making this beer over 20 years ago, but just packaged it in 2005. One of the big things about this beer is there's a ton of flavor in it. One of the things you're going to have is when you open up this beer, you're going to have a huge aroma to the beer. It's going to pour super dark black. I'll open up a bottle for you right now so we can kind of see what it looks like. But it's as black as night. You're going to have a rich brownish color head on it. You're going to get huge notes of charred oak, chocolate, coffee, some vanilla, some toffee, things like that in the beer. And these beers are upwards of 15% sometimes. The 2018 is 15.4% or 15.2%, I believe. So these beers you can actually hold on to in cellar for a decent amount of time, store them away. One of the really cool things about this beer is Goose Island actually releases anywhere from 5 to 8 different variants a year. So you'll have some variants that are only available in Chicago, where the brewery is actually from, and you'll have some variants that go into distribution with, like this year there is a vanilla Bourbon County Brown Stout, which is super popular, and they also have the Reserve, which is this base beer, but it's put in 12-year-old Elijah Craig barrels, which is going to just add a ton more flavor to it and a lot more richness to the beer. So one of the cool iconic things that goes along with this beer is there's a lot of documentaries, there's a lot written up on it every single year, and people look forward to this beer every single year. And even though it gets around the country a lot more than it used to, it is still a fairly rare beer to get your hands on. There's actually a really cool documentary made on this called Grits and Grain that you can look up. It's on YouTube, that talks about the history of Bourbon County and where it's been and where it's going. Like I said, this particular beer is 5.2% ABV, so it's super high alcohol, so this is definitely a sharing beer. There's a lot of two-row black malts, chocolate malt in this, and roasted barley, and you're going to get a ton of flavor from those different malts, and is also where you get the super dark color from. So anyways, this is a beer that's made to be enjoyed and sipped carefully. So we talked about the Bourbon County Brown Stout being able to be cellared and stored for a long period of time, anywhere from 7 to 5 years. People open these up and enjoy them still, and they still have great flavor. So this is a 2016 Bourbon County Stout. We are going to be opening up this one and pouring out a little bit to have a taste. And you're going to see still pours out a super thick, black, heavy beer with a nice looking caramel color head on it, and it's going to have great aromatics, I'm sure, just like the other one, with a ton of char, ton of chocolate, ton of coffee, and roasted barley in it. There's still a good amount of bourbon heat on this one, so this one is still drinking really, really well, right around room temperature.